since he's been 6. I think he's established himself quickly as one of the most skilled mid players in the game. But I think what's going to be really important for him as he develops is how he interacts with his teammates.
I have a lot of room to improve, and Fear is like the most experienced player. So I've learned a lot from him, and I think he's like one of the main reasons I'm here now. At Summit 3, I thought I was the only reason our team lost because I just played so poorly. Fear helped me learn just to trust your teammates. He told me that the good players learn from their mistake and not get upset. Instead, they practice out, and that's how you become the best.
Sumail's definitely a confident player. He came in at 15 years old and somehow managed to win the biggest prize pool outside of the international. And a lot of that had to do with his confidence in himself. If he didn't have that, under all of that pressure, I think most players would have just crumbled.
All this fame, all this money, all this glory, it didn't change him. That's the best part of who he is.
He's really ambitious. He always been saying to his mom and dad, let me do this, and one day I'll make you all proud of me. And he's doing it. He's on his right path.
I'm excited about everything in my future, but I'm possibly more excited than anything else about winning TI5. TI5 is everything. You win this, you win everything.
So yeah, TI5 is everything. You win this, you win everything. Pretty accurate description, of course. I mean, sure, there are a lot of other tournaments that are important that people remember, but at the end of the day, everyone always talks about who's going to go to TI, who's going to win TI, who's defending TI as a champion. That's been the title, and I mean, Sumail, this kid, really, a kid, right? And coming in, huge spotlight on him, and he says he felt that pressure a little bit, of course, talks about how he was a little bit too hard on himself maybe, but now, of course, his teammates, especially Fear, bringing him in and saying, hey, listen, the best players will learn from their mistakes, and they go on, and Sumail looks like he's been on that path, coming back in, being a little bit more steady. What do you guys think about Sumail and EG, just overall Sumail's part in EG? Like, how crucial is he to that team?
Well, EG has been one of the teams that have benefited the most from just, like we've talked about it previously, having like the match of young talented player and old experienced, like a steady player like Fear, right? And Sumail, I think when he joined the team, the way they started drafting was that they started giving him a lot of space. They tried to really incorporate him in the team and really set up so that he could play under the best conditions, so that he could shine, because they knew he had the talent, but they needed to make sure that, you know, if you take a player like that, like you said, and put him in a pressure situation with like minimal support, say, from the, and you just leave him on his own, it can of course be really dangerous. But I think they, as a team, they incorporated him very well into the EG model of how they wanted to run their team, and it's been super successful.
Yeah, and of course, just now, sure, they lost one game to Newbie, but for those of you, I mean, if you are interested, first of all, if you've been following Dota 2 for a little bit, you definitely have heard of EG, and let alone Sumail. But if not, if you're newer still after watching that, definitely go over, feel free to check out our third stream. That's where they'll be playing Game 2 versus Newbie, see if they can tie it up at least, start with a point. And on that note, those two teams are in Group B, and that group started earlier with Newbie versus VP. So we'll take a quick look at the standings here, of course, now wrapping up Group A for the day. So day one, Group A, we're done with it. Even here, we will be moving on to Group B. We've had now a couple matches for Group A. Maybe we can get a little bit of a feel for where teams stand and exactly how much harder maybe Group A is compared to Group B as it comes up here. But LGD going strong, as we mentioned earlier. They finished 2-0, so 6 points. Secret and Complexity, 4 and 3 points each. And then we do have Navi Fnatic with the ties, and then MVP, Cloud9, IG, all with only 1 point each. So no team ending the day with a 0-2 record. So that's a pretty good sign for things to come. Things do seem to be pretty even on the side of Group B. Again, only one match between Newbie and VP. They tied 1-1. So we'll be finishing that group up in the later half of the day, see how the points pan out. On Group A, so far, of course, we've only had certain matchups. We haven't had all the teams playing around robin. Anything surprise you guys, Ben, or is it just so far kind of what you'd expect?
Pretty much what I'd expect. I don't think there's too many surprises. MVP, I think, taking a game off Navi, I think Winter and I were actually pretty surprised about. I mean, Navi dominated them game number 2, but in game one they struggled.
Yeah, MVP Phoenix definitely gave them a run for their money, and I think a lot of people weren't expecting that particularly. I mean, sure, We talk about Secret losing a game to Fnatic. Maybe that's a little surprising to some people. But MVP Phoenix, the fact that they're still here to put up a fight after the wildcard play-ins and after they struggled a little bit in the wildcard play-ins to secure that second spot, that would be something to keep an eye on. Now, for Group B, for us, this is the moment Syndrome's maybe been waiting for all day. We are going to watch 2 Team Empire games in a row. How excited are you about that?
I'm really excited because I think relative to like the general expectation, it seems to be like across the panel and across the world. I think I'm expecting more of Empire than most are, and I'm just really curious to see them play, as well as of course Vici Gaming. Oh, this is not good.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get you some water.
All right, I think I'm good. So, yeah. The Empire versus Vici is going to be really interesting to see because, yeah, those are 2 teams I expect a lot from, and I'm just curious to see if they get off on the right foot.
All right, Winter, what about you? I mean, as Syndrome was just mentioning, Empire, it does seem like there's a bit of a split in expectations. A lot of people they kept mentioning like Empire has a lot of potential. They were sad that maybe they didn't make it to the qualifiers at ESL1. They are here at TI5. Some people still have hopes, but is it too early to tell? What are your thoughts on Team Empire?
I think they have a lot of potential as a team. They are young and a lot of ambition. They play very aggressively. It's very suitable in the current patch, but in the match versus BG, I'm actually more interested to see which BG Gaming actually showed up, because they're not on a very good run, and they have very high expectations on their back. And from what I heard from someone like a reliable source, that they're actually reverting back the drafting position towards FY, because recently, for the past month or so, Hao has been drafting after joining the team, and there were mixed results, and obviously they weren't really too happy about it. And for this event, FY is drafting again for the team, so I'm very interested to find out how is the form of the team in general.
Yeah, we should note, of course, Vici Gaming last TI was looking pretty strong, going for the run all the way, then got stopped by Newbie in the finals and just had to rest at second place. Coming in, do you think most people, Ben, can have that same high expectation that they have a very good chance of making it all the way to the finals, or do we have to wait through the group stages to find out again which Vici is here?
I chatted with Ice, and I was like, I don't know whether to place you guys like 3rd through 8th or anywhere from 3rd through 8th. He's like, I don't know either. so I was like, well,
that means he's not confident he's top 2.
That's usually a
no,
bad
there
sign,
you go.
because he usually says something like, we are probably top 2 or 4. Probably he's usually very confident.
Right. So a little bit of a maybe different attitude coming in, but at the same time, this TI5, a lot of people, I think, we're already noticing a lot of expectations perhaps not being that accurate. Teams are still figuring things out. Of course, the patch playing a big role in that. People are still talking about how different is this patch, starting from 6.83, coming into 6.84. And as we look at the lineup here for Vici Gaming, so these 2 teams playing their first game, I believe, of TI5 coming in here on day 1. Empire versus Vici. Do you guys have any strong predictions about this in terms of matchup?
50-50.
50-50?
I have absolutely no idea. I think both teams will be strong. So yeah, with that in mind, it's going to be a draw, I guess.
I think Vici has more potential, but Empire has proven to be, I think, way stronger in the past 3 or 4 months.
Okay, what about you, Winter?
I think it's 50-50. Anyone can take it. It's very hard to say because it's the first series that each of the teams are playing. We haven't seen anything at all. So, 1-1, I feel it's more than likely will happen. Like maybe someone will surprise the opponent with something that's new, or they need some time to get into the zone,
That's true. Obviously, again, both teams playing their very first match. So in some ways, they're starting on even ground. No one's had kind of more warm-up time than the other in this one for Group B. Also, let's talk about kind of team styles before we go into the draft so that we have more time to analyze the draft itself once we start. Is there anything we want to look out for, very specific in terms of, this team so far has tended to prefer certain heroes? Obviously, we've discussed other ones in the past. Are there any repeats carrying on over from the other teams we saw earlier, like Undying?
Wisp. I think that's not really a repeat, but this is going to be a hotly contested hero. I think Vici Gaming is one of the only Chinese teams that actually prioritizes drafting the IO in a lot of games, and Empire definitely are not strangers to playing IO either. So I would expect it to be picked or banned in both games. I don't know which phase it's going to be, but I personally think it's been underpicked this tournament so far. It's been a short tournament, right? So it can still happen, but
but we've been surprised generally, even in the.
It's not really fair to say that though, because I feel like the teams that actually play better on Wisp haven't really started to play. So
Cloud9 didn't play yet. 2 series.
Yeah, that's the only team that comes to my mind. The rest of the teams...
MMY plays it for LGD.
Yeah, they did have it like one game, didn't they?
Did LGD have it today?
I can't remember.
I mean, we've only watched, one of their matches here, and then the other ones I can't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, they are not a team that would snatch like Wiz like all the time though. So
no, it's true.
Yeah.
But as you were mentioning, Team Empire on screen as they're getting ready, warming up a little bit for the first match. They aren't strangers. Vici, on the other hand, one of the few Chinese teams to bring that out. In that sense, and you bring up a good point, because sure, you say that, all right, it's been a short tournament, maybe it's not fair to say that, but we have been thrown off by a lot of the other common picks, like Undying maybe showing up a little bit more than we expected, Ember for sure being in that group. Winter, what about you? Do you think there's any heroes maybe we want to keep an eye on as we go into the draft phase?
I think Bristleback is actually still really good in this current meta and hasn't been picked that much. And I feel that he doesn't really need the IO too much as well. Like, he can still function very well alone. Like, obviously with IO, he doesn't have to worry about mana so much. But I still think it's a really good and strong pick at the current meta.
Yeah, I think several teams have been dissuaded because of Silver Edge being a really good counter to him. But yeah, he's definitely been underutilized. I think Sand King's also really important for probably Empire a little bit more so than Vici. But at the same time, I think Empire's like teamwork is really, really good. I think they can actually play versus a Wisp. I don't think they will ban it at all, or they might utilize Winter Wyvern.
Yeah, that's what the Russian teams usually do.
Yeah.
They just give away the IO and they just pick Wyvern in return, by the way.
But still, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in drafts in general where you can like pick, say, you can pick Wisp as the second pick of the last pick of the first phase, and then you just ban out Wyvern.
Right. It also depends on who gets to pick first.
Yes.
So when you say contention, obviously we're working around those mind games. Like who picks first? We'll take a look at that, and hey, do they want to pick it, ban it? Do they save it for the second?
I think the other hero is Tusker. Both of the teams play a very good Tusker.
Yes. That is true.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, General, of course, has been a pretty strong hero coming into TI5. All right, well, now we know a little bit on what to expect from Empire and Vici, both teams having a little bit more time to prepare as they, again, it's just their first match coming in. Overall, though, TI5, so far, I mean, it seems like in the community, everyone's pretty excited. Obviously, we've had some exciting games. We've had base races starting with wildcard play-ins coming in. We've had quite a few highlights. Hero pool seems pretty diverse. We were talking earlier, actually, about the item pool, too, right? Almost every single item has been used. The caster was talking about it, too. Do we have, like, how many left that haven't been used?
What was it? We got two. We had Rod of Atos, E-Blade, Silver Edge. We couldn't remember seeing Silver Edge, which is weird, because there's been like 2 or 3 Bristle games, but I think it didn't get picked up.
Yeah, right. I mean, of course, we haven't watched every game, like every minute, but as far as we can remember.
There was one more, I think.
But maximum, what, 4?
I guess we technically haven't had Dagon 5 either. We've had Dagon, but not
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we can count that if we want to. But yeah, not many. I mean, so we've had a lot of
I guess that's pretty much it.
adaptation. I mean, of course, part of that comes from the diverse hero pool, I guess, but
a lot more rapiers than I expected.
Yeah, that's that is
what?
true.
Thanks to Cloud9.
Yeah. I mean, Cloud9 for sure, but then Mushibank 2, and then using both of them, even if it's only for 10 seconds, that was pretty awesome to watch.
The average game time has definitely been longer than I expected so far. Like, we've had so many long games that makes for a pretty
I mean, so the past one was the longest one we've had so far, and I believe now IG is
4 1-hour games today. Is that right?
Well, yeah, 4 that have been over 1 hour. As far as we can tell. Maybe more on stream. I don't think so, though, because the other streams are generally over before we are. So I think we can safely assume that it's only been 4. But I wanted to bring up the point that IG has been in the top 3 longest games of TI. Now, separately, just looking at TI history. So if we look at IG versus Cloud9, TI5, we could be looking at a record setter for sure.
Hopefully not.
Are you excited? I'm stoked.
200 plus minute games are a little bit too long for me, I think.